All right, here we go. We're going to start out by mixing a little raw sienna and hooker's green for the background where the light will be hitting the trees. See, I don't want it too green, so I'm going to go back in one more time to get a little bit more raw sienna. Now just going through and just kind of depicting the trees where the light is hitting them in the background. Being careful not to brush over our old truss bridge here. So this old truss bridge is located in Waterville, Pennsylvania, and this bridge was once used to support trains. Since then, this train line has been discontinued and converted into a 62-mile bike path. Just continuing to fill in the green, not doing anything special, just kind of filling in the areas. And as artists, we have the ability to remove objects that won't be doing much for the painting. So here, this tree that's growing in front of the bridge, we won't be including that. My mentor once told me that anything growing straight through the center of the painting sort of cuts the painting in half and doesn't do much to please the viewer. If you're enjoying this video so far, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing. It really helps push this content out to other viewers. I'm grabbing a little burnt sienna and raw sienna to paint the little bit of land back there on the other side of the river. And again, raw sienna and hooker's green to paint in the green shoreline on this side of the river. Almost no detail at all, just kind of moving as swiftly as I can from one side of the page to the other. At this stage of the painting, I'm just trying to lay out the painting as much as I can without any detail, and there will be a time where we add details toward the end. Some cobalt blue and cerulean blue to fill in the little patches of sky shining through the trees. Now, I don't really get to get out much in paint, but I'm glad I had the opportunity to paint this scene en plein air, as they call it. You can see there the bugs are loving it too. I don't really mind the bugs so much, especially because I'm so distracted by the painting. Okay, now mixing up some burnt sienna and raw sienna to paint the river. People tend to think that water is mostly blue, but if you'll notice from the reference videos, there's a lot of browns and greens in it as well in this example. To create a sort of shimmer effect, I'm using a dry brush technique by moving my brush quickly to create some texture. And very little water as well. Using some cadmium red and raw sienna to create a sort of rusty color for this old truss bridge. For safety purposes, it looks like they built a little guardrail to keep bikers from falling off the bridge. And that's what I'm painting now. Okay, now that we've got the painting generally laid out, I'm mixing up a little ultramarine blue and Payne's gray to start painting in the shadows. It's generally dark underneath the bridge, so I'm painting a dark line under the bridge to show that. And another shadow on the stone structure supporting the bridge there. Looks like the light is generally coming in from the right-hand side, so we're painting the shadow side on the left. Okay, now mixing up some Hooker's Green, Burnt Sienna, and Ultramarine Blue to paint some shadows on the water. What's casting this shadow? Could be trees, but I think in this case it's the bridge itself. Being careful not to overbrush. I am using the same dry brush technique by laying a brush on its side and sort of moving the brush quickly across the page to create some texture. Switching to a 1/4 inch flat brush now, we're going to start working in some detail by painting in the trees in the foreground. I think having this darker colored tree in the foreground really creates a nice contrast between the foreground and the background. Still using the 1/4-inch flat brush for some of the foliage, but it's always good to switch to a larger brush when working in some of the larger areas of the tree. Not really concerned with what's growing underneath that tree. It's just a whole bunch of weeds and things, just trying to depict just all kinds of scraggly things growing on the bottom. The other side still looks a little flat to me, so I'm going to add some bushes and things on the other side just to kind of make it look a little more three-dimensional. There's my kids running around in the background. I better finish up this painting, otherwise I'm gonna get in trouble. Okay, I'm going to take a little Hooker's Green, Burnt Umber, Burnt Sienna. And I'm going to begin painting in some detail on the water here, giving off the impression that the water is moving somewhat, painting in some ripples and things like that, letting the original color that we put down show through underneath. So I'm taking care not to cover up everything that we put down in the beginning with this new color. A little Hooker's Green into this mess. And the foreground's not quite dark yet either, so we're going to fix that. Just sort of flipping my brush up and down here and there to give off the impression that there's grasses growing. And as my mentor used to say, this is where the painting kind of starts to paint itself. Everything's pretty much painted in at this point. Now we're just refining areas here and there to make it look, hopefully, even better. And what I mean by that is really trying to push the boundaries of the contrast here. So adding darker values to make the lighter values stand out even more. A lot of professional artists would argue that it's better to try and define all your values within the second or third wash to avoid overbrushing and avoid your painting not looking crisp and fresh. And I definitely agree with that. I guess I'm just being a little stubborn here and not ready to accept certain areas looking too flat and taking a little risk and trying to go back in and enhance some of these areas. Architecturally, this may not be the most sound model of this old truss bridge, but really going for the atmospheric piece here. Okay, and just to wrap up the painting, we'll take a little burnt umber, raw sienna, ultramarine blue, and hooker's green, and darken the foliage some more. And that should do it. I think dinner's on the way. I'll just leave you with the last moments of this en plein air painting. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.